Everybody, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back here to another live stream, my friends. Hope everyone is having a beautiful Sunday evening. It is good to have you guys here. Hope everyone is doing well. But anyways, my friends, we got a few things we do need to talk about today. Here in the weather world, we do got some stuff going on here. In the tropics, stuff going on in the country. We got a little bit of cold spell coming in. It's going to feel like fall coming up, y'all. Let's see what we got here today. We have Black Label saying happy Sunday fun day. What's up, my friend? Good to see ya. What's up, Devin? Saying hi, Andrew. It is a slow hurricane season. Not many named storms like last year, or will it kick up soon? From what I hear, and from what's a good possibility is that, you know, I think the later part of the year is going to be more active than the beginning part. You know, I think we're just now starting to get to some of that activity. You got to still remember, though, most of the activity is still ahead of us, so there is still a lot of room for that to change. What's up, Ghosted? Saying hello. What's up, my friend? Good to see ya. What's up, Dixie? Hello. Saying hi, Andrew. Checking in from Edmond, Oklahoma. Good to see you, my friend. Hope everyone's doing well. And, of course, everybody else who is here but not chatting. It is good to see y'all. So, anyways, folks, well, we got some new stuff going on here. So, in the tropics, we are still watching Fernand, or however you pronounce it, Fernand. Currently actually has picked up a little bit of strength since yesterday. Not really anything super, super wild. Let's go and bring up our sat view for you guys. We're going to look at it here. But yesterday when we were live, it was sustained at 40. Now we're sustained at 45. Ooh, what a lot of strengthening it's done. Sarcasm. Anyways, yeah, so the system right now is sustained at right around 45 miles an hour. You can see in the top left the current vitals of the storm, I guess. Pressure down to 1,009, moving to the north-northeast at 13 miles an hour. It looks a little bit better today than it did yesterday. Honestly, it was looking a little bit bad yesterday. You know, still by all means, not really the best looking of systems here, but we do got some convection. You know, the central circulation is, you know, fairly centralized now to the convection here overall, so that's good. But the system, the good news is that it's going to be well far away from Bermuda. It's actually kind of at its closest point to Bermuda now. You can see right there, that's Bermuda over there, and you can see the system is just well far to the east here, so that is definitely good. But anyways, on the forecast track, we're going to remain a tropical storm for the next several days here. You know, really not expecting a whole lot of craziness out of this system. Believe it or not, the Hurricane Center has significantly downgraded what the storm was expected to do. I don't know if you guys were here yesterday on the last update we did, but we were expecting the storm to get up to 70-mile-an-hour sustained winds here, and now, according to the Hurricane Center, the maximum the storm is expected to get is right around 60, so that's about 10-mile-an-hour short from yesterday's assessment. So there's been a little bit of downgrades going on here, which is definitely good. But you know what? The system's just going to be a fish storm. Not really much to talk about with it. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of anything crazy going on there. What's up, D? Hope you're doing good. Saying, hey, Andrew from California. Hello, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. Let's see here. What's up, SPC? What's up, Black Label? Saying, I'm in Minnesota tonight. The lows are going to be in the 40s. Yes, so that's kind of the main thing we're getting ready to talk about here is definitely the cold air. We're going to be feeling some fall-like temperatures coming up here soon. Absolutely. What's up, Divinely? Good to see you. Tabletop, what's up? Saying any severe risk for coastal North Carolina this week? No, not that I don't think so. Severe weather-wise, we're pretty calm right now. Today we do have a slight risk here, and believe it or not, we do have a tornado warning in effect right now. Here, let's see if I can pull that up here. At least my little counter says there is here. Let me make sure. Let's go to severe tornado warnings. Maybe we don't. My little counter there at the bottom says we do, which is interesting. But we got a little bit of severe weather going on here up across the, towards like Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma. Not a lot going on. Same thing, a little risk up in the northeast here for Pennsylvania and New York State here today or tonight here. Got a little bit of storms kind of rolling through, a little bit of a line here, which, a couple of which could be severe. We had a couple isolated severe storms. But, yeah, not really much going on here. Super, super crazy. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. There's that tornado warning here. This is in Colorado. Yeah. Look at that. So this is here in Colorado. This is just southeast of Haswell. 2-inch hail in that storm, too. Wow. It's pretty strong. Pretty strong storm here. Let's see. Tornado in 2-inch, or hail up to 2 inches in diameter here. Let's see here. Mostly rural areas. That's definitely good. Yeah. Well, thankfully, it's not really in any populated areas here. Let's try velocity here. Wow, what a mess. Goodness. Let's see here. That is kind of a very bad velocity view. But the good news is that the system is expected to remain just in rural areas, so not a super, super, super big concern. But we do got a watch in place out there. Definitely interesting. Let's see here. Severe says, what's up, Andrew? Desperately need storms and rain up here in Jersey. It's starting to dry out. Any hope for any stormy pattern in the future? So, hopping over to SPC here. For much of New Jersey, we don't have any risk for thunderstorms today, tomorrow, or the next day. If we look at the, let's see, we're going to bring up our, where is it at here? We're going to bring up the precipitation forecast. So here's the precipitation forecast for days 1 to 3. So this is, between today and 3 days from now. As you can kind of tell, really not a lot expected. Days 1 to 5 here, you can also see, so between today and 5 days from now, you can see much of New Jersey. It's going to be pretty dry. So, really not a whole lot going on there. But, look at this, though. Out here by the, by the plains and bits of the Midwest here. Let me use a different color, so you might be able to actually see what I'm circling here. Here we go. So you can see that we're actually going to be dealing with a pretty good amount of precipitation, though, over the next 5 days across portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri, like southwest Missouri area, like by Springfield. These areas actually could pick up a couple of inches out there. Look at this. According to the WPC forecast for the next 5 days, eastern Oklahoma could be getting right around 5 inches or so, locally higher amounts. Definitely a pretty good amount of precipitation. Florida, next 5 days, getting a little bit too, not a whole lot though. I mean, over the span of 5 days, that's, inch or two, not really a whole lot. But yeah, we're definitely going to be seeing quite a bit here. Let's see. So it looks like days 1 to 3. So yeah, I mean, it looks like this is mostly going to be for days 4 and 5 here. We get most of that rainfall there. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out there for that. But honestly, you know what? Like we mentioned yesterday here, the CPC, the Climate Prediction Center here. Let's go ahead and bring up our precipitation forecast. So this is for the next 6 to 10 days. So basically 6 to 10 days from now. You can see that a lot of the areas out by the, Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and of course portions of the Northeast here is in the tannish brown color, which represents that we're going to be actually below normal in terms of precipitation. So it's going to be a little bit more dry out here, especially up there by like Michigan and, Wisconsin. Some of those areas really picking up some dry conditions. But you can see for a lot of the other part of the country, I mean, literally for most of us, here in the South, as well as the Central Plains, the western parts of the country here as well, we're going to be above average in terms of precipitation here. Now, temperature-wise, this is what we're really getting into. Look at this, y'all. Days 6 to 10. So basically 6 days from now to 10 days from now, you can see that the CPC has these areas heavily highlighted, indicating that we are likely going to see those conditions well below normal in terms of temperatures here. Out west, it's going to be a little bit different. Out west, it's actually expected to be warmer than normal here. You can see for a lot of the west coast here, as well as up in the northern plains here as well, a little bit warmer than normal. Also out there, towards like southern Florida, northern Florida actually cooler than normal. Central Florida kind of normal, and then southern Florida actually a little bit warmer than normal here. So that's days 6 to 10. Days 8 to 14, not really a whole lot of differences. You can see kind of the same deal is that, a lot of the inner portions of the country here, towards the Central Plains, Midwest, portions of the Mid-Atlantic, a little bit of the Southeast, too, in the Ohio Valley. It could be a little bit cooler than normal here, days 8 to 14. So basically a week to 2 weeks from now. And in terms of precipitation for those days as well, looking at that, you can see pretty much the same thing. So throughout the next couple of weeks here, it looks like we're going to be relatively dry across the east and the northeast country, especially by like the Great Lakes, the northeast, and the Ohio Valley is going to be a bit drier than usual. For a lot of the plains, the west and the south, we're going to be actually above normal in precipitation for the next 2 weeks or so, which will definitely be pretty good. But yeah, temperature-wise, certainly going to be pretty cold. Let's actually hop you guys over here to models here real quickly. I do want to show y'all what the GFS is suggesting here. So let's bring y'all over here. So we're going to hop over to the... Actually, let's not do contours. It makes things a little bit more difficult to read. So let's do lower dynamics, thermodynamics. Here we go. Shaded. Perfect. So, actually, you know what? We're going to do anomalies here. This shows us a lot better of where the cooler and the warmer areas are going to be. So, as you can see here, this is for the afternoon of the 26th. This is 2 days from now, basically. Pretty much a day and a half or so. But you can see here that most of the country is in blue, which that is showing us that things are going to be really below normal in terms of temperatures. You can see the chart here on the right-hand side. Now, this is in Celsius, by the way. This is, Celsius is a lot... more lower than Fahrenheit, essentially. So there's a lot more Fahrenheit than there is per Celsius, if that makes sense. So there's a steep drop in terms of, average temperatures here. You can see a lot of the country here is going to be very, very cold. Even parts of the west, too, according to the GFS here. A lot of these central plains, especially down by, like, the southern central plains here, by, like, Oklahoma, by Arkansas, definitely a lot cooler. So this is for 2 p.m. on the 26th. If I grab a little sounding here, look at the temperature. Right on 67 degrees for this time. That's like fall weather. That is like definitely like fall weather. And, this is going to linger for a while, too, from what the GFS kind of suggests here. Like we mentioned, the west, though, is still going to be pretty warm. That's why we have some of those temperatures out there, expected to be warmer than usual, like we were just looking at here. You can see CPC has the west pretty warm and then the central east pretty cool. And this lines up pretty well with the models, like the GFS here. You can see the west being pretty warm, the central and east being cooler than usual. Now, in regarding to the actual temperatures here, look at this, y'all. So for the afternoon, look at this, afternoon the 26th, you can see that a lot of the Ohio Valley is going to be in the upper 60s, lower 70s, which is pretty crazy. The Northeast here as well. Florida, still doing Florida stuff down here. Now we're kind of still in the mid 90s, which is definitely a little bit toasty, but we're kind of getting used to it at this point. But you know what? In the night times, it's really going to be felt here, especially. Look at this. For the morning of the 27th at 8 a.m. here, you see how cold it gets for a lot of these areas here. Serious cool down expected here, y'all. Really bringing out those fall temperatures. You can see a big drop in temperatures throughout the Midwest and the Ohio Valley here. Look at that. Even some areas maybe down in the 40s possible, with all this going on, which is definitely going to be pretty crazy. What's up, Court? Good to see ya. Sarah says, can I check the special weather statement in Michigan? Yeah, I could do that real quickly. Here, let's hop on over here real fast. Alrighty, so you, my friend, so I'm assuming this is the only one we got up in Michigan, so I'm assuming this is the one you want me to look at here. Let's see, I'm going to bring up our reflectivity here. Doesn't look like much more than a few showers, but it does have a little bit of gusty winds on it. So the Hurricane Center. I'm so used to talking about hurricanes, dude. I'm telling you. The National Weather Service has it, special weather statement here for winds that are basically no greater than 30 miles an hour. A little bit of gusty winds, nothing big. Hail up to a 1/2 inch in diameter. Not really anything big. They did put land spouts on it, though, which is interesting. Other than that, doesn't seem to be anything super duper crazy. But yeah, on the radar view, it doesn't look like anything massive. Unfortunately, we don't really have a close radar. The radars that we do have are pretty spaced out away from this storm here. But just a little bit of moderate precipitation kind of rolling through, it looks like. Nothing significant by any means here. Let's see. D coming in with a $10 super chat, my friend. Thank you so much. Saying love your channel, Andrew. D, I appreciate that, my friend. That's greatly appreciated. Big shout out goes to you, D. Thank you for the 10. Y'all in chat, please give D a big thank you. That is really, really nice of you, my friend. Thank you so much, D. That's really sweet of you. You definitely did not have to do that. Greatly appreciated. What's up, Frankie? Good to see ya. Saying watch from Live Oak, Florida. Happy Sunday, fun day, people. You as well, my friend. Good to see ya. Ponderosa, finally some cooler weather. Yeah, definitely going to be a little bit cooler. That is absolutely for sure. Yeah, but like I was mentioning here, I mean, this is for the morning of the 27th here, and you can really see just how much cooler it's going to be getting. I mean, shoot, this is even in the south here. I mean, look at it. We're getting down into maybe the mid 60s up here towards portions of the Gulf Coast here. I mean, look at that out there by like Pensacola and some areas by like Mobile, Alabama, Gulfport, Mississippi. Some of those areas getting down into maybe the mid 60s here. And that's cold for us here across the Gulf Coast. That is cold. And you can see, I mean, we're really going to be cooling down quite a bit. Now, people up north are going to be like, what, mid 60s? Man, that's warm. But no, that's pretty cold for us down here by the Gulf Coast here. So definitely quite a big cool down. And like I mentioned here, it's not just going to be one night. I mean, it's going to be multiple nights here. We're going to be really feeling some cold temperatures here for the next several days. I mean, like I've mentioned here, even during like, the midday, even during like the hottest time of the day here, once again, you can see 2 p.m. of the 26th here. So this is like 2 days from now. The maximum temperatures out here is going to be getting up here into, the upper 60s, lower 70s. Once you work your way towards the plains, the GFS does have this thing getting a little bit more warmer for some of the Central Plains folks, but a lot of it's really going to be felt in the Ohio Valley. See, beautiful. I welcome the cooler weather here in Florida. And just not too cool. Yeah, it's been a little toasty lately though. I mean, a little bit cooler would be nice. I like the 80s. 80s are really comfortable. Oh, let's see. Captain says when. The time's in the top left here if you want to follow along with the time here. Yeah. Right here, you guys can see. But like I said, even during the daytime, you're really going to feel those cooler temperatures. And at nighttime here, this is for the morning of the 27th here. Once again, temps in the upper 40s in some areas here. Up there by like Ohio, you can see upper 40s. For the most part, lower 50s out there. Definitely feeling some pretty cold fall-like temperatures overall. And it's just going to be pretty nice. It really will be. And then back over to the anomalies like we were looking at here. Once again, the bluish, purple, pinkish colors you guys see, this represents cooler than usual conditions out there. And then, of course, across the red here and some of these colors, this represents it's warmer than usual. This represents it's cooler than usual. And you can see that we're going to be pretty cold for a while. We're going to be a lot cooler than usual. Now, this is actually based off of data from 1981 to 2010. So this is a good, like 30 years worth of data here, pretty much, or 29 years, I think that is. So that's on average, essentially, comparing to over those years of, gathering averages and stuff like that, and plotting it in the future. You can see that, we're going to be in a pretty cool spell here for the next, several days here. We don't want to go too far down in the models because, you guys know me. I don't like to look too far into models, unlike a lot of other people who like to hype things up. Anyways, but yeah, we don't like to go too far down in time because it starts to get a little bit more iffy, the further you do go out here. But, like I mentioned, though, I mean, we're certainly going to be pretty cool for a while. The West, like we mentioned, though, this is mostly going to be felt for the East and the Central country. The West is actually going to be kind of the opposite here. Once again, if we hop back over here to the temperature outlook here from the CPC for days 6 to 10, you can see that, a lot of the West here is going to be above normal in terms of, temperatures and stuff like that. And then, of course, we do have ourselves, a lot of cooler temperatures here towards the Central Plains, the Midwest here into the, just a lot of the east part of the country. Then you got Florida, like southern Florida still being actually a little bit above normal in terms of temperatures here. But definitely quite a big cool down. Absolutely. Let's see. Black Label says, "Bring on the fall weather. I'm done with the heat." Yeah, I agree. We do need a little bit cooler weather. I ain't gonna lie. Something says, as much rain forecasted here. Will there be any chance of bad flooding? That's a really good question. So looking at the flooding risk here, if we pop up, let's see, where is it? Excessive rainfall risk here. So today actually we do have a pretty decent flooding risk out here, especially by like western Oklahoma, a little bit of the panhandle of Texas, a little bit of Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado. Tomorrow we have a level 2 threat as well for flooding for a lot of Oklahoma, bits of Arkansas, a little bit of southern Kansas, portions of New Mexico, Colorado. Day 3, just a level 1 threat, but level 2 up here by Colorado and New Mexico again, also for a little bit of Arizona as well. Day 4, yeah, we got a risk up here mostly for Kansas, a little bit of northern Oklahoma, level 2 threat. And then, of course, day 5, we have a pretty big threat up here by Oklahoma, yeah, portions of Missouri and Arkansas, most of the state there. But you know, looking at the overall amount of precipitation, so this is the multi-day precip forecast. So this is for days 1 to 5. So this is basically from today to 5 days from now. This is the accumulated precip over those, you know, next 5 days. And according to the WPC here, I mean, you can see, I mean, looking at the country, you know, most of that rainfall is going to be up here towards the Central Plains and portions of the lower Midwest. You know, definitely going to be getting quite a bit of precipitation out here. You know, also Florida, you know, a little bit, you know, more rainy, but that's typical. Florida usually rains quite a bit, so nothing out of the ordinary there. Bit of the West, though, you know, the Rockies actually through the next 5 days could pick up quite a few inches of rainfall in some areas here. You know, could see that through portions of like Idaho, you know, Wyoming, Utah, maybe portions of Colorado here as well. But, you know, most of the rainfall will be felt, though, you know, for portions like Oklahoma, Kansas, southwestern Missouri, and portions of, you know, Arkansas here. And so, yeah, definitely going to be quite a bit, you know, quite a bit rainy over the next little bit. You know, like as you can see here out by Tulsa, you know, we could pick up quite a few inches over the next 5 days. So we're kind of definitely in a rainy period for you all. So if any of you guys in the stream right now, or if you know anybody who's out here, just know it's going to be pretty rainy for the next several days across these regions here. Okay. Let's see here. When does it start? What, the rain start? So the rain is going to really start to kick off here. Let's see. I mean, really starting kind of now. If we look at the radar out here by now, you can see we do have a little bit of storm activity rolling through, mostly the west side of Oklahoma right now. Let's hop into models here, actually. Let's take a peek at the models here. We'll pull up the HRRR here. Let's just do a full 18 UTC run here, just to kind of pull up the models here. We'll actually also zoom in a little bit, too. We'll do South Central U.S. So, once again, most of that rain that we were just looking at here on the models is going to be for a lot of, you know, these areas here for the most part. That's where a lot of our precipitation is going to be felt. But the HRRR here, you know, as we work way down in time for the next little bit, you can just see a big blob of rain here. Once again, time's in the top left if you guys want to follow along here. You can just see, you know, we're going to be seeing tons of days worth of rainfall. You know, the model only goes out 2 days in advance, but you know, we're just going to kind of have this big jet of precipitation just kind of rolling over some of these areas here, just really racking up those totals there overall. So let's look at a little bit further. Let's pull up like we'll do GFS here actually. So looking at GFS, you can see a lot of rain also just, you know, continually rolling across the region here for like the next several days here. So between the next 1 to 5 days or so, we're going to be getting quite a bit of rain out there. So a lot of you guys probably won't see much of the sun here for a few days. That is something that will come with a lot of rainfall. That is for sure. What's up, Theodore? Good to see ya. What's up, Scott? Hopefully you're doing well, my friend. But anyways, folks, well, we do got a little bit of severe weather going on here right now. Up here in western Oklahoma, we got a, whoa, holy cow, what is going on here? Look at this. We got an 80-mile-an-hour wind observed warning here for quarter hail, too. What? Camargo Mesonet measured wind gusts in excess of 80 miles an hour. Holy cow. Good thing I pulled that up. Sheesh. Here, let me look at velocity here. Let's look at that and see what's going on there. Yeah, it sucks because radar is not very close. I mean, Literally, you got the storm here, right? And then you got a radar up here, you got a radar over here, and then you got a radar over here. And then we have one over here. So it's like the storm is literally right between all these radars. So it just gives us terrible data. Or at least the data is super high up in the atmosphere. I mean, this is 8,000 feet up or so. And, it doesn't necessarily correlate with what's going on down below. 8,000 feet, that's pretty high, and a lot can change over that distance, from ground level. So, yeah, and that's at our lowest scan, too. That is pretty crazy, though. Let's actually rewind that a little bit here. I mean, it certainly looks like it's packing a punch here, looking at velocity there. Absolutely. I mean, even at some of those upper levels, I mean, not really high upper levels, but, above surface quite a bit. That front there likely has, quite a bit of winds on it, though. But regardless, though, that is for 80-mile-an-hour winds here. This includes Clinton, let's see, Arapahoe, Hammond, Canute, Custer City, Butler, Foss, Putnam, Morewood, Foss Reservoir, and Stafford. Some of those, I tell you what, man, Oklahoma has some of the hardest to pronounce names out of most of the states. I think Oklahoma takes number one for the most hard to pronounce town names or city names out of all the other states here. But anyways, so just keep it out there for that. If any of you guys know anybody out here, this is in Oklahoma, by the way, out there by areas like Clinton, Arapahoe, Custer City, Foss, and Canute, I think it is. You guys are in kind of a dangerous situation. At this, given a storm like this, I would recommend that you go indoors, stay well away from windows, even hunker down into the central interior portion of your home, because, 80-mile-an-hour winds is no joke, and that's like tornadic-like wind speeds. So just be sure that you are indoors and in your central part of your home. Anyways, what's up, Misty? Good to see ya. I guess no rain for North Missouri. A lot of it's going to be for Southwest Missouri. Here, let's bring back up that real quickly, the days 1 to 5 here. For North Missouri, I mean, there could be a little bit here and there, but really nothing noticeable. Most of the heavy rain is going to be for, southwestern Missouri, especially out there by, Springfield area. Could pick up a couple of inches. But most of it's going to be, eastern Oklahoma by, Tulsa. Some of those regions out there are going to be definitely feeling quite a bit of rain out there. Devin says, do I think the next system will be a hurricane and will directly hit Florida? Is it too soon to tell? So, if you're talking about Fernand, this is the next storm we have right now that's going on here. If you mean the one after that, we'll look at that here in a minute. But in terms of Fernand, or however you pronounce it, this one's not going to be doing anything. And if you're talking about this guy down here, this disturbance, probability has actually gone down a little bit again. Yesterday when we did an update for you guys, we had an overall 40% chance of development. Now we're down to an overall 30%. So we're losing a bit of support on the system here. Pulling up the satellite imagery here, I mean, you can see right now, we're getting ready to get some of that convection rolling over the Antilles. Could be bringing a bit of rainfall for you folks out there in the Antilles. So, just a little bit of rain. But on the forecast track, not much is expected out of it here. And no, it does not pose any concern for Florida. There's no imminent threat for anywhere in the United States regarding tropical activity right now. In terms of the models, here's the main spaghetti models here. You guys can see there's a lot of uncertainty with what's actually going to be going on here. I mean, you can see the system where it's at kind of right now, just offshore of the Antilles. It's going to cross over the Antilles, and then there's a lot of spread in the models here. You can see that some of the models have it going further south, some of them have it going further north. There's a lot of uncertainty still, even between the hurricane models here with this system here. But it is going to track its way into the lower Caribbean. Now, when it comes to the guidance of, what strength the storm is going to get, believe it or not, there's a little bit more strength of the system becoming a tropical storm here. Overall, the system is, according to most models, is expected to gradually strengthen a little bit. I mean, there is a possibility the system could get into tropical storm force winds. It's not fully developed into a tropical cyclone right now. It's got a lot of work to do. But some models, I mean, they, believe it or not, do have the system maybe gradually picking up a little bit of strength here, as we go down in time here. So these numbers at the bottom, this is our forecast hour. So 24 represents 24 hours out. So a day out, 48, 2 days out, 72, 3 days out, 4 days out, 5 days out, and so on. So that just kind of shows you, and this is in between, every 12 hours is the way it goes. But anyways, But yeah, I mean, you can see there is maybe some gradual development here of the system. We're going to talk about that now. Let's actually hop away into models here. We're going to do a little bit of a hurricane model viewing here. So this is 99L. Let's hop over here to the HWRF here to start things off. And if you guys want to follow along in the time here, you guys can look in the top left here where I have highlighted. This is the time here, the forecast hour time. So whatever image you see right here is what correlates to the time right here, okay? So, progressing our way down in time, you can see that low just goes right over the Antilles. Here's some of the islands out there, just remaining very disorganized, just a bunch of scattered, thunderstorms and stuff like that rolling through. Over time, the HRF doesn't really show much happening with this system, honestly. The system just mostly remains basically just a bunch of scattered thunderstorms, not really doing much. So really not much from the HRF model. Looking at the amount of moisture, it does look like dry air could be a bit of a concern here. And of course we do have a little pocket of moisture-filled air, which is, where that convection's going on now. But, ahead of the storm and stuff like that, there's a bit of dry air, which could, pose a bit of an issue for it. So we'll have to see. So that's one model. It's good to look at more than one model, though, of course. Here's the HMON model. Really kind of just showing the same thing, just remaining a bunch of just scattered storms, really not materializing into much of anything. Those are now 2 hurricane models we looked at that support that here. So, not a lot on that. HAFSA, this is another model here. As you can kind of see, showing the same thing. Really just not much development out of the system here. It's not really expected to do much here for some of those hurricane models. HAFSB, looking at this one here too, same thing. So the latest run of all the models here just has the system, kind of just going to the lower Caribbean, but really not, really not expecting to do a whole lot here overall. So definitely, is some good news. But, we'll monitor it. The Hurricane Center, they did lower the probability on the system here. Looking at it now, it's just nothing more than a bunch of, storms, just a bunch of, disorganized storms and stuff like that. But anyways. Let's see here. Devin says, Andrew, I still remember how you were so courageous in your car weathering a hurricane all night. It was so eerie. That was actually out the window of the house I was in during Milton. That was fun. That was fun. But I would never recommend you guys doing that because that was very dangerous. I streamed quite a bit on both the western eye wall and the eastern eye wall of Milton because I was in it. You guys can go back on my channel and rewatch it. I was actually on mobile when I did that because I didn't have my computer set up since the power went out. But yeah, that was something else, wasn't it? That was something else. But anyways, yeah, so like I mentioned, not really too worried about it. But I will tell you what, though. We do have a new system out here in the EPAC, Eastern Pacific. Shouldn't really be much of an issue, but I figure we'll talk about it because I'm sure people are probably wondering here. So if I pull up the full disk here real quickly, you guys can kind of see. Let's turn on the infrared view. So, we do got ourselves a depression out here. System is actually expected to become a tropical storm here by tomorrow morning here. Overall. But, the system gradually working its way northwest here, remaining a tropical storm for the next few days, just off of Baja California's coast. Shouldn't be much of an issue. I just figured I'd mention it because, why not? But, tropics, there's really no considerable threat at the moment. While we do have a little bit of systems going on, these are not really posing any really big concern for us out here. So we are looking pretty good, my friend. Absolutely. So another thing I do want to touch up on is out west. We do have a lot of red flag warnings and heat stuff going on out there. A lot of heat advisories, extreme heat warnings for portions of like Oregon and Washington State. As well as you can see out here by like areas of Northern California, a little bit of like Southern Oregon. We do have a lot of red flag warnings here, which, red flag warnings are for fire weather conditions, and which is usually caused by low relative humidity, drying things out, as well as, a lot of strong winds. The combination between strong winds and, low relative humidity increases your fuel because it dries out, leaves and dries out grass and plants and whatever, which increases your fuel supply, and then the winds acts as oxygen that gets to the gets to the fire. So any little spark can create a big fire. And so red flag warnings basically are there to tell you that, hey, red flag warning, or the fire weather conditions are going to be expected. The conditions are suitable for wildfires. Let's see here. Abundant lightning on dry fuels resulting in potential numerous fire starts. So yeah, pretty much like we talked about, when everything dries out, there's an increased amount of fuel. And of course the winds, really give the storm, or I'm done. Goodbye, y'all. I am having one of them brain moments, y'all. Let me try that again. Let me try that again. So, the fuel, the dried out stuff from the low humidity, and the fires that start because of that, the winds kind of add a lot of oxygen to the fires. There we go. See, kind of stumble on your words when you talk a little bit fast, though. So that, anyways, moving on. But yeah, so between the dry conditions and the winds and stuff like that, there is going to be that wildfire concern here. Also, for areas out here by California too, we do have a lot of extreme heat warnings as well. This includes like Los Angeles, actually, getting a little bit toasty out there. And a lot of those do go down into like Arizona here as well, towards Phoenix. So like we mentioned here, we're going to be quite warm across a lot of the western sides here of the country, as well as we're going to be pretty cool across the east here. Quite a big change here overall. Brain error, absolutely. Happens quite frequently, unfortunately. But this is days 6 to 10, and you could see 6 days to now to 10 days from now, we are seeing a lot of the central country, a lot of the eastern country being a lot cooler than normal here. CPC does have these dark blue areas here at 60% chance probability. And then out west here, we do have ourselves, that 40% chance, up to 60% chance above normal in some areas here. So absolutely going to be quite different. It's going to be quite cold. And once again here, if I hop you guys over here back to the models here, once again, like hopping back to the GFS here, looking at the temperature anomalies and stuff like that. I mean, you guys can see here that, we definitely are going to be quite... definitely are going to be quite cooler than usual. So the blue kind of indicates things cooler than normal once again, and the red kind of indicates things being warmer than normal once again. So that is what we're looking at there, and it's definitely going to be kind of fall-like here, overall. Anyways. But anyways, folks, well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all that's going on in the weather world here. Not really anything super crazy. Other than the big cool down, that's kind of the biggest thing for the states here. Severe weather-wise, we're not really looking. Let's see here. We're not really seeing anything super, super wild, severe weather-wise either. I mean, today we do have that little slight risk here for portions of like Colorado. I mean, tomorrow we basically don't have any risk except for like southern Arizona here. We have a little marginal risk out there, but severe weather, thankfully, knock on wood, has been pretty calm. And in day 3. So this would be here for Tuesday. Just a normal thunderstorm threat here for, a lot of the west and the southern plains and a bit of the southeast too out by Florida. Typical normal stuff. But, a lot of the central eastern country, we're actually going to be, outside of that thunderstorm risk here. Not really seeing a whole lot of anything really crazy going on here. But so severe weather should be pretty good. I don't think we have anything in the extended range either. Day 4, we're looking pretty good. Day 5, let's see, day 6, day 7, day 8. Yeah, nothing in the extended range either. So thankfully, we're looking pretty good. Here, let me actually bring up the models here. Let me hop y'all over here to this page. This is good old trusty COD. And let's bring up our GFS again here. I want to kind of look at the extended range here, see what we got going on. Let's zoom out a little bit. Why is it so far zoomed in? Holy cow. There we go. Okay. Let me move this over here. Bear with me. I need to get a scene ready for COD here. Okay, that should be good enough right there. Perfect. So, looking at the jet stream pattern here, I want to kind of look and see if we have anything. So we got a little bit of a trough going on over here by the Midwest and the Great Lakes here. Driving a little bit of storm potential as we were looking at earlier. Then we just have this big ridge that kind of builds in here for a lot of the south. Once again, it's going to allow for quite a bit of warm conditions to kind of pull its way into the country here. It's going to be pretty warm across the west. This jet stream here, y'all, considering that it's really kind of pushing down from up north, is actually acting like a conveyor belt and is bringing cooler air from up north down into the country. So that's really kind of why we're going to be seeing a lot more of the, a lot more cooler conditions, overall, is because the fact that we do have that jet stream really kind of bringing all that cold air down here. In terms of deep troughs and anything like that, I don't see any big time severe weather concerns or anything like that. We do have a little bit of a trough, but this is just a little bit farther out than I'd like to look. This is almost 180, 200 hours out. Yeah, I don't want to look too far, but really don't see a big concern out there. For really anything crazy. You can see that, when looking at the instability, this is our thunderstorm fuel, essentially. You can see that much of the country is going to be without the fuel for convection over the next several days, especially up here by, the Ohio Valley and stuff like that. We're really not seeing a whole lot of storm activity going on out there. But anyways, folks, well, that's just kind of a deep dive into everything that's going on here. Once again, it's going to get pretty cooler than usual for the country, especially, towards the Central Plains and, some of those regions there. It's going to be a lot cooler than usual. Look at this. The average over here, this is for, let's see, forecast hour 96, 18 UTC. So this is the afternoon of the 28th here, right around 2 p.m. And you can actually see that, over there, according to the GFS, the areas out by Arkansas here, you can see we're talking temperatures maybe in the range of 60 degrees, when on average it's about 90 degrees, so that's a 30-something degree difference there, which is just unbelievable. Huge difference there. But, definitely is going to be cooling down quite a bit. And you can see a lot of blue on the east and a lot of red on the west. It's exactly what it looks like. Cooler on the east, warmer on the west. So the west has got to, be ready for some warmer than usual temps, and central east part of the country for the next several days is going to be actually cooler than usual, which is certainly going to be quite nice. And, those conditions are already starting to work their way down in the country here. Once again, because we do have that jet stream coming down from up north, once again, bringing down some cooler air here on the conveyor belts, and which, is going to be bringing a lot of that cooler conditions down deep into the country here. Let's see here. Missy says, can I have some rain? If you want to, come in Florida and get it, but yeah, we haven't really been having a whole lot. Actually, today we had a pretty good amount of rain today. Day before yesterday, we didn't really get much. It's just been kind of on off here, but yeah, we got a lot of rain coming up for Oklahoma though. You might want to ask them. Let's see here. Gonna feel great in the zip. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a lot cooler. Lot cooler than usual, that's for sure. Let's see, next week my high is only supposed to be 40 or 83. That's cool for August. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely is pretty cool for August. A lot of people are going to be getting a lot of cooler conditions. Once again, looking at our anomaly map here, you can see there's a lot of blue. A lot of blue showing a lot of cooler than usual temperatures out here. Once again, central eastern country, cooler than usual. Also the western country, warmer than usual. So quite a bit of a difference there, absolutely. But alrighty, my friends. Well, honestly, I think that's probably going to wrap it up here. We basically went over everything we need to. Nothing catastrophic, nothing crazy really going on right now. Yes, we do have some tropical activity. This guy, not really expecting much out of it. There's not a lot of support on it. We'll continue monitoring it. It has chances to do stuff, but, chances aren't very high right now. Fernand, it is a tropical storm. It's going to remain a tropical storm for the next few days. It continues rolling to the north here, eventually getting into cooler waters and eventually kind of getting caught up by the jet stream and kind of dying out. We do have a new system out here in the eastern Pacific. This system's just rolling west, not expected to do much. Severe weather, we're pretty calm. Just a little bit of a level 2 threat today up in Colorado. Continue for a little bit longer. Tomorrow, basically no threat except for a little risk in southern Arizona. Day 3 here for Tuesday. Nothing severe going on, and nothing severe beyond that point as well. Yeah, just a bit of a temperature shift, like we were talking about. Some cool conditions across the country for the central eastern country, and in the west being a little bit warmer than usual. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's really not a whole lot of anything super crazy going on there, which is definitely good. Very thankful for the calm down in weather. But as you guys know, we'll keep you updated if anything does change. If we get any more information or anything like that, we will definitely let you know here. One thing I was looking at earlier, I want to bring this to attention here. It's nothing to worry about by any means. I mean, it's still really far out. I was looking at the ensembles earlier from ECENS, looking at the tropics here. So we have 99L over here. We have Fernand over here. We have another low over, across the mid-Atlantic coast here. But I was looking, down in time here. This is pretty far out here. This is about 210 hours out or so, which, you guys know me. I don't like to look too far. But there is a grouping of ensembles going off the west coast of Africa. We're going to have to monitor that. I mean, it could be another wave, getting ready to set up here. Yeah, certainly is possible. Let's go ahead and loop this here. I mean, you can see here, we have 99L, we have Fernand over here, and then you can see later on down in the forecast, we do have a little bit of ensembles, kind of working their way westward here off the coast of Africa. I mean, could it be a new storm? We'll have to see. That is the let's go ahead and pause this real quickly. That is the 12 UTC run here from earlier. Let's see if we have anything new from the 18 UTC. I don't know if it came out yet, which it did not. Has not came out yet. Let's do previous 06. This was kind of early this morning. This one didn't go out as far, but I just want to see if it picks up on anything. Starts to show a little bit here. Let's go to the 0 UTC run here. This is from actually, you know what? No, this is new. The 0 UTC run here. Yeah, this is new from today, I believe. Or no, never mind. I'm getting my times mixed up. No, this is from yesterday here. But also does pick up a bit of activity. So I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. Nothing's guaranteed right now. I just figured I'd mention the ensembles there. So we'll keep you guys up to date, and we'll keep you guys updated with everything here. But anyways, my friends, well, if y'all have any questions, feel free to let me know. Go ahead and throw them down in the chat if you guys could. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us. And once again, tonight, a huge shout-out goes out to D. If you're still here, D, thank you once again for the support with the $10 super chat earlier. Greatly appreciated. That really, really helps us out, my friend. And just want to say thank you so much for that. I really deeply appreciate it. As it helps keep us on our feet, helps keep us floating, and really can't do it without y'all. So I really appreciate that. So once again, big shout out goes out to you, D. Thank you so much. But anyways, folks, well, once again, going once, going twice. If y'all have any final questions before I roll off here, feel free to let me know. But, once again, in terms of Fernand, system's just going to remain east of Bermuda. It's kind of at its closest approach right now, which is, just well east of Bermuda. You can see, you got Bermuda right here. System is very far to the east here, and it's just going to continue pulling away from Bermuda. So that's certainly some good news. But anyways, folks, well, all right, everybody. Well, thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. We'll catch you guys tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. Once again, we'll go live every day at 8, regardless of what's going on, just to kind of update y'all in terms of what is happening here in the weather world. If you guys did enjoy it, consider leaving a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. It'll be much appreciated. And maybe even consider sharing this with a friend or a family member. It'll be much appreciated in terms of helping get the word out there. So I really appreciate that. But all right, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining. We'll catch you all tomorrow for another update here. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your nights. Have a great day at school, work, wherever you're going tomorrow. Just want to say thank you all for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll see you guys in the next one. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. Catch you all later on. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.